So this is today's webinar on how to plan and optimize your website user journey. So without further ado, let's get started. So today's content that we're going to be looking at, obviously all related to user journey. So first up, we're going to look at what is the user journey. So we're going to define that. We're going to look at what a user journey map is and what that actually, what data goes into that and what it entails, why the user journey map is important, how to actually plan a user journey, and we'll have a look at the kind of steps that go into that, as well as creating a map for it, how to optimize a user journey, and then some top tips just to finish off. So first up, what is a user journey? Now, the reason I've added this in here really to define it is because industry to industry or even person to person, the kind of terminologies change and what people refer to certain things change. So quite often when you look at user journey, also customer journey comes up. So we're looking at what the customer journey is versus the user journey. Now, customer journey, which like I say, interchangeably can be used with user journey, so I'm defining it. To us is typically the entire journey of a customer from they wake up in the morning, they think, oh, I need this X product. They don't know who they're going to buy it from or any of that information yet. And then they go, through their research stages, they find the companies that they want to buy from or purchase from or work with, and all the way through to, again, the afterthoughts, like once they've actually used that product or service, then the kind of continued integration or interactions with that business. Now, most of us as marketers will have come across the kind of IDA funnel here. We've got awareness, interest, desire, and action. So as that person starts to, find out more about we call it a challenge that they have, even if it's simple as that they need a product, as they move down and find that company. So we're not necessarily talking about that entire customer journey. What we're focusing on is the user journey for a particular, your website, for your business's website. Now, what this user journey entails is essentially everything and every interaction that a user takes and experiences on your website. So that's from them discovering your website. Maybe they've done a search because they're looking for a service or product. They found you in the Google search results or the Bing search results. They're using Bing or whatever search engine they're using, and then they find your website, they interact with your business, and then the steps they take. So that could either be they hit the website, they do a couple of things, and then they disappear, or it could be that they go all the way through to a conversion, whether that's submitting a form or downloading a file or whatever that might be. So we're looking at all those different points through that user journey. And like I say, it reaches a purchase or use of services. So if you're e-commerce based, like say, that's going to be purchasing a product or signing up to a newsletter or something like that. And if you're service based, then it's going to be more it's filling out a contact form, interacting with a chatbot, or downloading a file, or whatever that might be. So that's the kind of difference that we're looking at here between customer journey and user journey, just in case you hear that pop up, and those kind of be interchanged. Now, we're going into the first analogy of today. You'll be glad to know there are a few analogies in here. And I say this quite a lot, but I love analogies. I always use them to kind of compare different marketing techniques and things to other physical things. So quite often you'll hear your website referred to, or you might refer to your website as your business's shop window, it's an online shop window. And much like physical businesses, once somebody understands that they have a challenge or a problem that they need solving, they then go out to look for the business that they can, that can solve that challenge for them. Now, if somebody's walking down the street, then you see a shop on the high street. The shop will have to have certain things in place to make sure that the customer, the user, knows what that shop does. So that's things like signage, obviously windows, things like products in the windows, so that people can clearly see what it is that you do. And this is exactly the same from a website perspective. When someone lands on your website, you want them to very quickly get an understanding of what it is you do, whether that's typically in a hero section, we'll talk about the business proposition, make it clear, make it understandable what you do, so that when someone lands on the website, they can very quickly navigate through and know they're in the right place. Also within shops, you have signage. So you have signs that tell you, where certain sections are, where different products are, where the lifts are, where the tills are, where the toilets are, all these kind of things. And the idea, obviously, behind these signs is to make it as easy as possible and as clear as possible, so that someone can navigate around the store. And again, in the same way on your website, for your the navigation that you have on the website, the way that you use headings, the way that the content links together, all these things need to be super clear so that the user can effectively and easily navigate around your business's website and interact with the different content that you put on there. Also, within shops, you obviously have staff that help customers. Hopefully, most of the time, help customers when they're on their user buying journey within the store. And again, exactly the same on a website. You have things in place that make the understanding of your services or products as clear as possible. So that could be, on the top level, you've got a contact form. So if someone has a question, they can get in touch with you. It could be a chatbot. Chatbots are getting more and more sophisticated as AI develops. So that can be there to instantly interact and answer any questions that user has. Or it could even be as simple as an FAQ section. So if you're typically getting questions about certain aspects of what you do, maybe it's delivery related, maybe it's process related, then you can put those into an FAQ so that people can easily understand what they're doing. Again, it makes that user journey and process more simple for the user and easier. And then last but not least, we've got what we'll call the conversion point. So typically in a shop, that's going to be the tills, the checkout area where you go, you take your product and you purchase the product. But on a website, that can vary to be lots of different things. So like I mentioned already, things like downloading files, you might write white papers or you might write guides that people can interact with and download. It could be a contact form. It could be a newsletter sign up. It could be lots of different things. It could be that chatbot again. So there's all these kind of different points where somebody can essentially engage with you and what we will call turn into a lead. Now, you might be thinking, why are you banging on about shops? Or what's the matter with you? So the reason that I've used this analogy and links certain things that are in shops to what is on a website is because in the physical world, as you do on the digital world, all of these things are constantly looked at and reviewed and optimized over time. So think about when you go to the supermarket, for instance. When you go into the supermarket, you're not presented with like toilet roll and screwdrivers and I don't know, like things that aren't particularly, inviting. You go in and generally you'll see the fresh produce section because it's a sign of like healthiness. It's food. It's attractive. It makes you want to go in and purchase. Get your shopping and you're not presented with the horrible things. So these are actually things that are studied within retail, so that they know that the kind of the best structure, the best layouts for their products, and ultimately have the users when they come to the stores have the best user journey. And again, it's exactly the same on a website, as we'll talk about. We want to define how people are currently using our website and then how we can actually optimize that and constantly review it to improve it. Now, some examples of user journeys, because ultimately a user journey doesn't necessarily just need to be someone comes in on the home page and they exit on the contact page. It can be lots of different variations of pages, entry and exit. So a typical one, as I've just mentioned there, would be maybe someone comes into the website through the home page. They might have found you through search, or they've interacted with you in some other way. Then they go to your service pages to see what it is you have on offer. They go to the about page to find out more about you as a business and what you offer, your kind of history. And then they go to the contact page and fill out a form to either ask a question or get a call back or whatever that might be. Another example of that might be a blog page. So typically, again, from an SEO perspective, blogs are very important to continually add to your website so that you've got a fresh content going onto the website on a continual basis. Now, somebody might have, searched for a question, search for how do I do something? How does this work? What is the best example of, this service or this product? And on your website, you might have a blog post that answers that question. So it could say, it could be like a listicle, the top 10 things or whatever it might be. So they find that blog page first, they come to it, they, read that information, they find it useful. They then maybe go to your about page, find out more about you as a business, and then they can go to the contact page. And then last but not least is a landing page. So a landing page could be something that is linked to from a PPC campaign, but also you might have it kind of off menu, but just there for specific use cases, or again for specific users that are searching for for a certain product or service. Now, I've got a whole webinar that I've done on landing pages before, so if you want access to that, let me know, but I can link to it as well if that's something you'd be interested in. But typically, someone will come to that landing page, you create a really unique experience on that landing page where you're talking about a product or service, and typically there'll be a contact page on that landing page, so they might just come in and submit that landing page right there. So there are, like I say, lots of different variations of these. It's not just from A to B. You need to think about all these different scenarios that can happen for your users across your website. So what is a user journey map? So now we know what the user journey is. What is the actual user journey map? So this is where we are tracking all of the interactions that users will have on our website. And when we put them together, it creates a visual representation of the customer's journey, so we can see how somebody is getting from that point A to point B. And these ultimately benefit all of your teams. So obviously they're going to benefit marketing because you're going to understand if there are any blockers or any pain points through the user journey. It may even shine light on where are most people coming into our website. Because it might be that you think it's, typically it's the homepage. You might think it's the homepage, but actually there's a blog post that we've got, which is doing extraordinarily well within the searches. People are all searching for this certain content, and most people are coming in through that blog page. So it can even shine a light on how people are kind of interacting with different parts of your website as well. But yeah, essentially you want to start this so that where we're talking about the interactions, you look at all of the interactions that are possible across the site, and then you can refine that down, which we'll go into in a second. And why is the user journey map important? Now, ultimately, it's about understanding the behaviors of people that come to your website, because you can look at your website, look at your website's design, and even if you're using best practices or thinking, well, I know my users are this, or my ideal client is this type of person, then so I think they'll be wanting to do X, Y, and Z with our business, with our website. Now, once you actually start looking at data and looking at how people are actually interacting with your website, that picture might change, and quite often it does, because what you're really digging into is that understanding of the complex behaviors people are eliciting when they come to the website. It also helps you empathize with your customers. So as we'll go into, you can test out these user journeys yourself and experience them yourself, so that you can understand again where any kind of pain points or blockers might be. Quite often, and it will always happen, when you're working in an organization, you're doing marketing for them, you may be looking at the marketing material or that website on a very regular basis. It could be every day, but it could be multiple times a week. So you kind of get to a point where you've lost you can't see the wood for the trees type thing. So once you think, oh well, people are going to come to the website, they're going to do X, Y, and Z, but then when you actually experience that yourself, you realize, oh, actually it's not as simple as we thought. And then continuous improvement. So like we talked about in the shop analogy, you want to make sure that you're continually improving the user journey on your website. And ultimately it will help increase things like conversions and things like user satisfaction. Like any marketing, we want to continually look at this and review it and make sure that it's working as effectively as possible. Now we've got analogy 2 of today's webinar, and I've got a Google Ads logo here, but it's representational of performance marketing across the board, so any paid marketing. Now, with, if you've run performance marketing or Google ads or any paid ads in the past, it's the kind of thing, as I've just mentioned there, that any marketing, you don't just put these ads out. You think, oh, the users are X, Y, and Z, so we'll put an ad out which is advertising this, we'll put an ad out which is for brand awareness, and then we'll just leave them, and happy days, we'll come back to them in 2 years' time and see how they've done. That's definitely not how you work it. You put it out, you pay for the ad spend per month or per day, and then you're continually looking at data and understanding who is clicking on these ads, where's the best click-through rate coming from for these ads, and how can we continually improve that to make it better. So like I say, with any marketing, we want to continually do that, and that is the key point here behind these user journey maps, is understanding what people are doing on the website and how we can improve that over time. And then, lastly, on the importance of user journey maps, it's action, action, action. So you can create all of these user journey maps and understand what people are doing X, Y, and Z, how they're actually interacting with things. But ultimately, the action that you take out the back of it is where the value really lies. So we'll go into it in a bit more detail in terms of the optimization, but you want to make sure that the things that you're identifying actually get updated, and you continually review those things to make sure that they are having a positive impact, and keep making those improvements over time. So then how do we plan a user journey? So there's 4 steps to this, and I'll go through them, and then we've actually got an example, made up example of putting this into practice, so you can see what it actually looks like as well. So first up, we're defining the users and their motivations. So we want to build a detailed picture of your customers. Typically, this can come down to ICP, an ideal client profile, but we want to understand who the customers are, or who at least we think they are, who we're targeting, and you may have done one of these exercises before, but you can literally go down to the level of it. It's this person in this age range, this sex, this gender, they're in this location, this is what they're looking for. But you can build up that detailed picture over time in terms of who they are. You want to define their aims. So what is it that they're actually coming to you for? And again, that is likely going to change because everyone's got different aims based on the customer that you identify. So that you get an understanding, again, if from their aim, the kind of user journey that they'll take. And ultimately, like I say, not all users are the same. So somebody who is maybe in a younger demographic, sorry, I can't speak, might have a completely different aim to someone in an older demographic. And again, that could be gender related. It could be the way that they interact with your website is completely different. So first up, it's about defining that and understanding that. Then we want to define the end goal. So by that, I mean what you want to achieve from this process. So, ultimately, we want to know who's interacting with the website and how they are interacting with the website. But what is the purpose of us running this, this exercise? Also look at kind of like short-term and long-term goals, and are there any challenges involved? So challenge-wise, it could be that resource-wise, getting this up and running and spending the time needed to define the client profiles, define the touch points, and put all things in place to actually gather this data. So have a think about these things up front so that you're not getting tripped up as you go through the process. And then ultimately, what is the end goal as well? So, is it to increase conversions? Is it to increase user satisfaction? Is it to increase time on site? All these kind of things you want to understand so that you can get the most out of the process. Now, last but not least is the third analogy of this session, but it is the last one. I always joke, say this is me in the gym, but obviously it's not quite. But this picture is representative of, if you've ever, gone into training to get fitter, or you've, trained to run a marathon, or you've studied for an exam, or you've tried to lose weight, or whatever it is that you're trying to, change or learn about. If you have a goal in mind, so if you want to either, build X amount of muscle, or you want to lose X amount of fat, or you want to run half a marathon or a marathon, then having that goal in place means that you're much more likely to keep yourself accountable and actually hit that end goal by the end, because you can you can over time measure if you're getting closer to that end goal. So much in the same way of, we're creating our user journey maps. We want to go, we want to increase our conversion rate by X%. We want to increase time on site by X%. We want to reduce bounce rate by X%. And then over time, as we're running this exercise, we can see how those metrics are changing, and it just keeps that motivation there. If you go on a diet, or if you go to the gym but you don't really have an end goal, it can very easily be, I wake up in the morning and I can't be bothered to get up and go there, or that chocolate bar looks very delicious, so I'm going to eat that instead of having salad. So it's about that accountability. It's about keeping yourself on track to hit those goals as well. Then step 3 is identifying the touch points. So I mentioned this slightly a little bit earlier, but you want to essentially identify all of the touch points across the website which customers are currently using. So that can be things like navigation, call to actions, forms, chatbots, anything that somebody is going to interact with through the process. You want to identify all those things, and this will help you to understand the motives ultimately. So once you start to actually plot out the example user journeys that you think people are going on, then it'll help you understand, they're clicking on this to get here, and they're going through here and interacting with this and filling this form out. So it's about that understanding of all those different touch points. And one way to do this is to use data gathering tools on your website. So again, I've done a previous webinar which is talking about these kind of tools, so feel free to check that out. But the typical ones that we always talk about are GA4 and Hotjar. So both of these tools, GA4 will tell you things like engagement rate is now not bounce rate, but engagement rate, time on site, pages that people are interacting with, and it does also go into kind of user journey elements as well, in terms of the pages that people have visited before they've exited the website. And then Hotjar will give you that more user behavior detailed information, so that if somebody is bouncing on a certain page, you can go in, look at that page specifically, see where people are kind of scrolling to, what they're clicking on, the elements that they're interacting with, and if they do things like rage clicks as well, so people click multiple times, you can see where they may be getting frustrated. So you can use all this data to again help you plan out this user journey. And then step 4 is to sketch out the user journey. So all the information that you've gathered, so all the customer profiles, your goals that you want to get out of it, and all the touch points that you've identified across the site, we're then going to plot those onto a user journey map. There's no right or wrong way to do this process, and I've got an example that I'll show you here. We've also got a template file which I'll copy, which I'll add attached to the follow-up email I sent to you guys to have a look at. I've said the example before where you might see agency or marketing pick photographs where they've got post-it notes all over the wall. So again, you can just do it whichever way you want, whichever way works for you. And a template, sorry, I'll like I mentioned, I'll send that template over to you so you can see what that looks like. And then, so the user journey map example. So there's quite wordy these, but I'll take you through them, and hopefully they all make sense. If anyone's got any questions on any of it, just let me know. So first up, step 1, we've got our user persona. So we've just completely made this up. It's not based on anyone real. It's just for the purposes of this webinar. So first up, our persona is Jane is a busy professional in her early 30s, juggling work and home life. She is shopping online for some new clothes in between other tasks, and Jane wants to quickly and easily find what she's looking for to make a purchase. The context here is Jane is in a hurry and trying to shop during a busy schedule, and she needs to get the job done quickly and efficiently. And the method here, she's browsing on her phone. So that's how we kind of like setting up this user persona, what they're trying to do. And again, the method is important as well. So we're looking at a mobile rather than a kind of desktop. Then we're defining our goals. So we want to ensure that a user can easily complete a purchase on our website. We want to understand any blockers in the process. So again, it's about making that process as easy as possible. And ultimately, we want to increase conversions. So by making that process as easy as possible, hopefully people go through and purchase more. And then step 3, we're identifying the touch points. So again, there's a lot of text on here, but it should all make sense. There's nothing too taxing in here. So first up, we've identified these touch points for the purchase process, and you'll notice that each one has an emotion associated with it. So what we're doing at this stage is you're looking at these personas, these ideal customer profiles, and we are making the user journey for them. So we're not necessarily basing this off of data that we've gathered, but it's the process that someone will go through to make a purchase on the website. So the first up, Jane loads the website in a mobile browser window, and her motion is neutral. It looks different than the website on a laptop. So she looks for the women's clothing section, but can't quite find it. So she feels a bit confused. She clicks on the menu and the women's clothing link is there. Just so you know, sorry, I'm going down the left here in order. And I'll go to the right. She clicks on the menu. The women's clothing link is there. So she feels less confused, but a little frustrated that she couldn't find it straight away. She uses the product and price filters to find the clothes that she needs. This is on the women's clothing page. The page quickly reloads to show the correct range, so she feels happy. She's got to get seeing the products that she needs. She sees a product she likes and she clicks on it. The key product information is all presented on the product page. So yeah, happy. She's getting more happy, excited that she's finding what she wants. Then she looks to add the product to a basket, but she can't find the link. So she feels frustrated here. She selects the size and color of the product, and then an add to basket link appears. She clicks the link, and the item is added to the basket, so she feels relieved. And then Jane clicks on the checkout, enters her details, and makes the purchase. So her needs have been met, and she feels satisfied. Now, these are the touch points that we've identified. Obviously, you can go into much more detail, or however you want to kind of lay this out initially, and it can be very useful just to create a like this, an initial touch points element, which you then maybe drill down into certain aspects more. So for this as an example, the checkout side could obviously have several points of its own, where you maybe you're putting your address details in, you're registering for an account, you're putting your bank details in. So there's all these different steps as well that you could dig into. But once we've got these touch points, step 4, which, sorry, it says step 3 there, I'll have to update that. But step 4, this is to draw these and map these onto our journey plan. So we've got our y-axis here on the left-hand side with the kind of the feeling during the process, so positive, neutral, or negative. And then we've essentially just plotted these points for this user journey on this map. Now, as you can see, the first point here, we've got the 8 points. Jane loaded the website. She's pretty neutral. Everything was fine. It looks slightly different in the second point. So she dropped slightly from her neutral position. Then she found the link in the menu for the women's section. And then when she went to the women's section page, she used the filters and it showed her the product she needed. So that 4th point, it goes up. She feels happy. Then she went into the detail page. She got all the details she needed for that product, so even happier. But then she couldn't add it to the basket, so drops right off a cliff and has that negative experience. She's frustrated. She can't make the purchase. And then once she's added the size and color of the product, then the link appears. So she goes back up into the kind of positive experience and makes that purchase. Now, you could look at this as an overall experience and go, well, ultimately she came in neutral, and Jane's experience left her happy by the end of it. But obviously, when we're looking at point 6 there, it's something that we would probably want to iron out. So in this case, as an example, something like showing the add to basket link, but maybe grayed out, which then explains to the user, please select the size and color before adding to basket, would make much more sense and make it add lot less friction for the user or frustration for the user than not showing it at all, and then making that selection. So it's about that communication piece, so that we can ultimately look at these points and make it as good as possible. Also, you could look at how the website looks on a mobile. How easy is it to kind of access the different sections? So yeah, this is how we're plotting it out. In the template that we've got, it's more of a grid section. So there's different rows that you can fill out and do it in a slightly different way. So like I say, there's multiple ways that you can achieve it as well. It's what works best for you. I can just see a question here as well from Christine. So any extra considerations for GDPR or where various states are headed for data privacy? I guess, are you talking in terms of the user journey there, Christine, or is there anything specific around GDPR? I'll put that back to you and carry on while you have a think. So then we move on to how to optimize our user journey. So we've got we understand how we're going to create the user journey and map them out. And then how do we actually optimize that over time? So optimization, ultimately, this is where we're kind of leading the way. So this is where we go from hypothetical. We go, users come from point A to point B, and we turn it into the practical. We're actually testing these things out. We're, seeing how it actually works in a real world example. And this is ultimately where you're trying it yourself. So, like I mentioned earlier, you're going to empathize with your users. It's you experiencing, putting yourself in their shoes and experiencing the user journey from A to B. So that's where you're going to understand where these frustrations are as well. It can be difficult because you kind of again need to take yourself out of the position, out of the I guess sorry your mindset, because you may know that, oh well, it works like this, so I can get through this, but not everybody will know that. So you can try it yourself. You can also get internal team members to try it if maybe someone isn't it could be from a different team where they're not as up to speed with the website and all its nuances. So think about that as well, and do this with every user persona. So every user persona that you define, you can try create a user journey for them, but you can also try all the different user journeys you identify for each of them with each persona, and again see how they interact and work with each other. We want to analyze the results. So reviewing all the results in terms of, once we plotted out the user journeys, where are there any pain points? Where are there any issues? What can we do to improve it? How easy is that user journey to complete? And like I say, how can you perfect it? So it's all about making these kind of small some of them could be big. It could be that you identify something massive, which is a big problem. It could be a big bug, or it could be something which just isn't working. But typically here with the user journey, it's more subtle. You're looking at the refined nuance items that can make those kind of 1% improvements over time, so that you're continually making it better. And then we're going to iterate. It's iteration and perfection. So like I mentioned, you're really going to highlight through this process the areas that need alteration. And generally, they're going to be more smaller things that need to update. Testing is key. So either once you've identified something which could be development functionality related, or it could be design related. It could be the way that the kind of navigation flows. Once you've identified that thing, that issue, and updated it so that it's been, I say corrected, but it improved, then you want to make sure you test it again. So go through that user process again, get other people to do it, get more feedback to understand, has it improved that process or not. Introduce user testing. So like I mentioned, other people from within the organization is a great way to do it. Also, you could go all out and get either customers that are you have on database. So maybe you've got a mailing list, or you've got people that are particularly engaged with the business. You might have people that aren't engaged, but you can do things like offer them, a voucher or something to come in and, or you don't even need to come in, but to test out different the different user journeys and get their real world feedback. So again, you can understand from a qualitative perspective what they're experiencing and what their kind of pain points are. And again, you're going to benefit from all the changes. So even if they're really small items that you're updating, they're all going to be driving towards the goals that you've set. They're all going to be making that kind of continual improvement over time as well. So that's what we're looking at, and that's what it's all about. Now, last up, just some quick top tips. So this can be quite a process to get going with. So I say here, begin top level. So if you've got ideal customer profiles already, then happy days, you can use those. But if you're going to create those, it might be that you, create fairly basic ones with the basic information that you need for those. And then from a user journey perspective, you're, creating the overview of those user journeys and making them simple, and then you can really drill down into those as you start the process and as you want to. You maybe will find a challenge at a certain point and go, well, within that point there are different elements that it could be, so then you refine that even further. So start top level to get the process going and get your mindset into it, and then drill down into more detail. Try to avoid any pre-existing biases. So this is where, again, either getting people from teams that aren't maybe related to marketing or the website to look at these user journeys and act them out and try and complete them works really well. Also, getting completely external people to do it can be really helpful as well, because it's much more quality data. And then experience communication. So the user journey often is, we're looking at things like the experience of the user. So when they're going from here to here to here, and ultimately how they're getting from A to B and how we can improve that. But communication is a huge factor of this as well. So make sure that you're considering what you're communicating on your website when you're doing this process, because quite often I'll find that a website that creates a frustrating experience for me just hasn't explained what it is that you need to do, or what it is that you should do to get to the next step, or to submit the form, or to go through the process. So think about, like I say, that you've got the experience side of it, so that it's like, does it look nice? Is it easy to read? Can you get from A to B? But also that communication piece is really important. So make sure that you think about that and consider that through the improvements as well. So then in summary, what we're looking at for user journeys are, you want to create your user personas. You want to research the touch points for their user journeys, or for all, for the touch points across the website, and then distill those down into the user journeys for the personas. Sketch these out into a user journey map. And again, I'll send that template out so you've got access to that as well. Try out the user journeys yourself. So see, is it easy to get from point A to point B? Can I get through all the points effectively? And even if you've created the things like the context, where it's, maybe someone needs to do something quite quickly on a mobile, then set yourself a timer for 60 seconds and see if you can actually achieve it, so that you get an idea, or just time it so that you get an idea of how long it actually takes. Analyze the results. So you start off with your internal testing. How has it actually gone? Where are the kind of pain points? Where was it difficult maybe to submit something, or achieve something, or get to find certain information? And then implement those improvements to the site. So where the pain points were, have a look at how you can improve those across the website, and then retest. And then, like I say, update the user journey, rinse and repeat, and keep going through that process so that you can continually make those improvements. Cool. Thank you for listening.